Good evening and welcome to the Nevis Newscast. Today is Friday, 10th March 2017. I'm Fredericia Liebert. Premier of Nevis, the Honorable Vance Amory, over the last few weeks had been consulting with technical persons, athletic interests, and culminating with a meeting with school principals yesterday, Thursday, at the Ministry of Education. The march talked about Mondo track surface, which was expected to be completed in time for the April 5th meet, has been suggested as the new home for athletes on Nevis. Amory, who has ministerial responsibility for education, announced the decision with respect to the hosting of the 2017 Primary School Championships.
After much discussion, we have decided to advise the general populace and to say to the schools that the interprimary would be held again at ETW.
Amory, who was accompanied by Permanent Secretary Daniel, said there are a number of concerns that face the organizers.
The logistics of having the track completed and having the amenities which would enable us to host the interprimary championships, better known as the mini Olympics, have proven to be a little slower in being realized. And although the track itself would be completed, we have looked at the totality of the facility. And whereas we had hoped that we would have, say, a main pavilion for hosting of the students and officials, and facility for bathrooms and so on, that these have taken a little longer in the making, and it is now time for us to do an assessment of where we are in terms of having the track as part of the 2017 interprimary school.
Amory said the decision was conceptualized last year, but in assessing the progress and consulting with the stakeholders, the best and most practical decision had to be made.
I've discussed with the members of cabinet, I've discussed with the technical people involved in the construction of the project. I've discussed with the Permanent Secretary, Mr. Daniel, and the PEO, and we've also had very detailed discussions with the principals of the schools, and I believe in the best interest of ensuring that the interprimary is hosted to the very high standard to which we've grown accustomed.
2017 would mark the 25th edition of the Primary School Championships, also known as the Mini Olympics, and is a collaborative effort between the Ministries of Education and Sports as well as the Nevis Amateur Athletic Association. The major sponsor for the meet has been Gulf Insurance Company through its local agents at A.L. Evelyn Company Limited. The Ministry of Social Development earlier today officially handed over a house to Pastor Eunice Griffin of Pennis. Junior Minister of Social Development is the Honorable Hazel Brandy Williams.
We are here handing over the keys to Mrs. Eunice Griffin to her newly renovated house. As the PS highlighted, this was a collaborative effort between her family, who supplied all the materials, and the ministry, who supplied the technical assistance and the labor that was required.
Honorable Brandy Williams then spoke briefly about the legacy of Pastor Eunice Griffin and presented her with the keys to her house.
Reverend Eunice is no stranger to us. She's no stranger to the community, as she has been in the business of being a pastor over the past 50 years, okay? Because since I know myself, I know Mrs. Griffin being a pastor at the Wesleyan Holiness Church. And if I might say, to some, she is known as Pastor Griffin. To others, she is known as Mother Griffin, and still to others, she is known as Cousin Eunice. So she goes under a number of various hats. And I believe it is because she would have touched the lives of so many persons through ministry. Accept these keys on behalf of the Ministry of Social Development through the Department of Social Services. And we hope that the rest of your years will be lived in comfort. Continue to give God the glory, and I know you will. The constant prayer, you have touched so many lives, and for that we are eternally grateful for you.
Pastor Griffin accepted the keys and expressed her thanks to the minister and to all those involved in the rehabilitation of her house.
I promise whosoever come along this house or come in this house for encouragement, for special prayer, and so forth, I've dedicated myself to do my best.
Also in attendance were Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Social Development, Keith Glasgow, who chaired the brief ceremony, Reverend Spencer Watts, who blessed the house, and family members of the recipient, Eunice Griffin. In related news, another house was officially handed over today, this time to a resident of Jessop's village. Junior Minister of Social Development, the Honorable Hazel Brandy Williams, gave some background as to how they were able to help the recipient, Lynette Coram.
And so I would like to thank Mrs. Ferguson for bringing the case. I would like to thank those persons from the community who came out on Saturdays to start the project. And finally, I would like to thank Sylvester Thompson and his team from our maintenance crew who completed the overall project. This morning, I would like to say that a couple of days ago, we celebrated International Women's Day. And a part of the mandate, of my mandate, is to try and see how best I can empower women. And so I would like for Lynette to understand that this is only a start. We are assisting you to get on your feet. And so you don't sit back and feel like, you are less fortunate or you can't make it. This is a step for you to now move on.
Brandy Williams, on behalf of her ministry, presented the keys to the house to the recipient, Lynette Coram.
On behalf of the Ministry of Social Development, on behalf of the Social Services Unit, and by extension the Nevis Island Administration, I would like to turn this key over to you, to your newly built home. We are hoping that you will find comfort living here. We are hoping that you will be made even stronger living in a new environment. And we would want you to see this as not only assistance, but empowerment for you to move forward.
Coram expressed her gratitude to the Minister and Ministry of Social Development.
I would like to say thank you to the ministry for helping me out. And I would like to say thanks to everybody.
Also present at the handing over ceremony were Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Social Development, Keith Glasgow, Pastors Arthur Freeman and Stephen Liebert, who blessed the house, and family members of the recipient. Still to come, Nevis Inter-High Championship begins tomorrow. The details are after this break.
This April 7th and 8th, get yourself to Owali Beach for the 2017 Nevis Blues Festival. As the sun goes down, party to music by Ian Siegel, Deanna Bogart, AJ Gent, and many more. Regular boat services will connect St. Kitts from Frigate Bay and Reggae Beach direct to the festival. Find out more at nevisblues.com.
Welcome back. The Inter-High Championship begins tomorrow, Saturday 11th March at the El Cemido Tonito Willits Park.
The main reason is to give the athletes an additional championship to compete in. We have a number of athletes that have been training for 9 months out of the year, and they only get to do the high school championship, their school sports, and those who are really excellent golf to carry stuff. But even the character now the standard is very high. If you qualify for that, you're like world class. So not many athletes get to compete in that area. So we're trying to get an avenue for the children to compete, and then we encourage more children to take part in sports and athletics. High school championship in St. Kitts is a big meet for us, and a lot of people show interest in it. And often we send a lot of children from the 3 high schools in Nevis. And a main concern of that is the accommodation. Now when we go down, we stay in community centers, and over the years I'm not satisfied, most people are not satisfied with the conditions of the community centers. So we want to move away from that for the safety of the children. So a big concern is moving all the children into better accommodation, which will be costly to the schools. So one of the main reasons for the media is to raise funds so the children have better accommodation, and we can make sure they're safe when they're representing our schools and our country.
Member of the Planning Committee, Lester Blackett, spoke of the new rule that has been implemented for the meet.
There's a particular rule that I need to make the general public aware of, and also you, the athletes, and that is the organizing committee have decided that the international false rule would be applied, false start rule would be applied. So in other words, if you false start, you are out. And why I need to say it to the public is because the public has to understand that. It's never been done in Nevis before, right? It will be the first time it's done. But both of the schools, all 3 schools said, look, we need to institute it because when we go to St. Kitts, those are the rules that we have to run under.
Director of Sports, Jamia Claxton, made an appeal to the public to support the event.
I would just like to take this opportunity to encourage the general public to come out and support the event, support our athletes. By doing that, you're supporting our future Olympians.
The meet begins on Saturday 11th March at 11 a.m. and on Sunday 12th March beginning at 2 p.m. Admission for adults is $10 and for children $5. The Nevis Cooperative Credit Union hosted a Drive to Havana vehicle loan promotion, which began in October and culminated on February 28th. Director of the Nevis Cooperative Credit Union, Vernell Powell, spoke on the purpose of the promotion.
The board's intention was to increase our market share with a very profound consideration to our changing demographics, and we believe through this initiative we were quite successful. We were able to do that.
General Manager of the Caribbean Confederation of Credit Unions, Ralph Wharton, spoke briefly about the annual convention for the Caribbean Confederation of Credit Unions.
The annual convention of the Caribbean Confederation of Credit Unions is the premier event in the region for education, for networking, for allowing Caribbean credit unionists primarily to be able to speak to one another, see what is new in terms of development, new programs, new processes. So when they come back to their places and their domiciles, they're better able to activate the membership, both current, both potential, and also to ensure that the credit unions in the region play a dominant role or more dominant role in terms of the economic development.
Wharton then picked from a box of names to determine the winner of the trip to Cuba.
Smithin, Davin, or Davin Ellerson.
Also present at the draw were General Manager of the Nevis Cooperative Credit Union, Sydney Newton, and members of staff. That's it for this edition of the Nevis Newscast. On behalf of all of us here at the Department of Information, I'm Fredicia Liburd. Thank you for viewing.